temporary mutations, we'll get rid of those. Could go in deeper. This is a little scary on this kind of character. I mean, I'll generate the rune faster. It's sort of better to go at least to Abyss 4, but the spawn rate is a little spooky. Once again, damn Zines. Star Curse, those are good candidates for outright avoidance. Nice support. I guess I'll take care of this guy first. Deck of Destruction. This clown is being a hassle. Pressed up a little bit. There we go. That's why teleport is so good. I could have teleported there and probably taken less damage. Wounds, not bad. Missed out on an ornate destruction, but God, I keep getting these damn thrashing horrors, man. Of course, they're very common spawns, so not exactly a surprise. Bone Dragon, really? That's not what I want. Those actually die pretty fast to Holy Wrath. Now I have to be on the lookout for wouldn't mind a Ice Blast, but don't really have a lot of slots. No, mine's not mechanical. It's a pretty cheap keyboard. Rip toenail. Destruction. Guess can swap you out. Ugh. That's why I didn't want to fight this. Let's try a Tully. Just head the opposite way. Regen. Alright. Come on, Abyss. Give me the payout. Problem is that going deeper, ugh. It's a Ghost Moth, obviously. Ah, Aha, we got pulled deeper. Alright, so we gotta watch it. I don't have any MP right now, but... Let's try it, buddy. Okay, what do we got going on here? Kinda, it's hard to tell. Yeah, there's the way out, alright. Come on, quit damaging me. Jeez. Like this is just MR ring. Northeast, yeah. Probably it was, but I didn't really like what I was seeing up there. Do I want an MR ring? Not really. Actually, well, mine is Telia I honestly could actually use. I can't drop it. Okay, so this was just a fault. Yeah, I went into this one. Of course you would show up. Here's the... I'm getting a lot of exits out, just not getting a lot of rune vaults. Oh boy, that's a thing. Don't really want to fight a Hell Sentinel. Shut that. Well, well, well. Looks like we found the rune vault. What is MR right now? This is a bit awkward. These things see invis. Okay. Let's start with an invis. That will get us most of the way there. I guess we're gonna have to put this on for right now. Do I want to burn a haste here is the main question. I want to burn a regen. Okay, the Abyssal Rune of Zod is right there. We got it. We piecing on out. Oh yeah, that's a problem. Can I LRD? Okay. What's the other one over here? I have training. Get rid of you. Alright, that's pretty good. Let's put on this. And then teleport Areno out of here. Areno. Oh good, that Cacodemon is gonna dig straight for me, but him I can kinda deal with, I guess. So that was nice. I teleported into Los of the Rune. We'll just have to hope that this next teleport works out okay. Got plenty of magic if I need it. I don't have too much damage. Oh nice, thank you for blocking him. Let's try a Staff of Earth. Executioner, huh? Go ahead and plop this. I don't really actually need to do anything. I can just sort of sit here and just regen. I don't need to, like, you know, expend a bunch of, because these guys, this poor Kako can't. Now the Executioner though, he could decide to get in my face, but I have a few things that I can do if he makes his way over here. Just meleeing him with Blessed Trishula. Mostly I don't want to just like eat mutations and or you know, bolts of energy to the face. I can try to constrict this guy, but he's probably going to break free. We'll just have to see how it goes. Wow, there's another one. Yeah, he broke free. Viz will be wearing off soon, so I have to kind of deal with that. Yeah, these guys, you know, they're getting in some hits. Be great if I could somehow have used Tomb, but I don't think I really had an opening for that. This poor Executioner is probably not going to get to do too much. Let's see. I do have a blink. I could blink all the way over there into that corner. Oh, we've got some. So moving into this brought me into Losov Eye of Draining. That's not amazing. So he's gonna start draining my MP. Something I have to be aware of. Aha. Well, maybe I'll go ahead and spend a blink at this point. The problem is I don't really have a lot of blink. I could also random blink, but it's probably better to get some control over where I end up. Looks like I'm still stuck in this vault for the most part. Might not be a bad idea to haste now when I have the option to. Teleport will be kicking in the next few turns, but it does take like, you know, 11 or 12. Yeah, I don't regen, but I have the regen spell up, so I am regenning HP. I also have heal wounds. I also have I have Borgs. I just have to be careful because this this draining eye. I decided I needed to be in Los of a draining eye. At least it puts me away from the Executioner, I guess. So whatever. Yeah. So basically, we can just play like Yakety Sax for a while. Nothing can really damage me too much, and there we go. And hey, look at that. Ornate deck of summonings. Yes, please. That's Nemelex's parting gift. He's like, here, well done. Alright, so that was all pretty positive. I mean, I got a couple of decks. I got Legendary Ornate Summoning, I got some Ornate Destruction. I did spend one of my last 2 Blink Scrolls and some other light consumable stuff. That's why you can see how carefully though you have to play this, because like you just don't know what situation you're going to end up in. That was kind of a weird situation. But we are done. Now we can go check out the Trove. We're gonna have to drop all our misc items. No regen. I mean, for me, it's not too big of a deal. I don't have particularly, like, if you're a turn count running, I could totally see that, because each turn, I don't know, you're regenerating HP. Although, does that actually apply? You know, maybe you might be right about that. Maybe that doesn't apply to... I think it works. I think it's just like your natural regen. I would assume so. As far as mutations go, we actually got Malmutate giving us MR plus, which is pretty cool. You know, that's funny if it does. It really shouldn't show the light though, because on the status light it looks normal. I should go back and check that. Looks like we got one more point of EV from our huge dodging training. Now at EV 30. I probably should focus on fighting a bit more, because honestly having HP is gonna do more for me. 12 free slots, that should be enough. I guess I can drop some staves. I mean, you mean Malmute? Yeah. Hey, Iggy, what's up? It actually happens to me fairly often, I would say. I would not call it incredibly rare. The weights are like, I actually don't know what the weights are offhand, but it happens reasonably often in my experience. Depends on how you define incredibly rare. Yeah, it doesn't block. I don't think it blocks regen spell either. I mean, Trog is a god ability, so it's somebody I can check the source after that to confirm that. But that is a good point. I should look into it. But yeah, it's obviously not common to get that, but it's happened to me quite a number of times over the years. 10%. Yeah, that's what I mean. So I wouldn't call that incredibly rare. It's obviously rare. It's just not. That sounds about right, to be honest, based on my experience of Malmutate. Surprisingly, I guess I would say, for me, surprisingly often I get a positive mutation. In that you might think it wouldn't be as high as 10%. You'd be like, oh, that should be like a 1% thing, right? Common than Malmutates from Contam? Yeah, no, but I just noted that the status light doesn't show it suppressed, which, if that is the case, that's a bug. It should show it suppressed. Yeah, but Iggy, I didn't. You don't know how many times I've been Malmutated. I've got Malmutated in this game. These are from potions of mutation, by the way, the positive ones. All the positive ones except for MR+. But in this game, I probably got Malmutated 2 to 5 times. I can't be sure exactly, but it's not been a lot. But yeah, the rest are coming from mutation potions, which I have quaffed, and I have some left over. And I had different ones at a different point, only from the most recent quaff. And actually, I think one of the other effects of Malmutate is it removed one of my positive ones, I think. I'd have to go back and check the notes on that, honestly, to see which. But yeah, no, I mean, 10% is appreciably high, I would say. Because it's supposed to be a negative effect, and 10% of the time it helps you, so it's like, okay. It's probably too high, I guess you could say, or maybe you could also argue it should never give you positive mutations, because it's kind of silly that it does. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that definitely does happen. With the 10% roll, if you get hit with enough times, you'll end up with like, oh look, I have Aralek. But it's still funny every time it happens. You're like, aha, that's funny. It's just, I think if you ask most players, what do you think the chance of Malmutate giving a positive mutation is? If you just ask them offhand, they probably wouldn't guess 10%. It would depend on how carefully they paid attention to it. It's higher than you might guess naively. Yeah, potion of mutation. So 2 plus 1, average of 3 added, and then 6 plus 2, average of 4. Removed, but of course it can't remove mutations that don't exist. It's not like it can give you a negative mutation that prevents you from being mutated the next time. Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably argue that it would be a better design if it just did give you... You don't want to, like, give somebody a reason to have a Nequizek stand next to them for a bunch of time. Like, if somebody really wanted some positive mutation, like they decided they super wanted clarity, they could sit there and, like, have a backup plan for the int drain. You know, they go off and kill some monsters they have stashed to restore their int or use the int rings or whatever, and just sit there and just take Nequizek malmutates until they got that mutation they really wanted, and then try to maybe cure some with the potion and just hope that they kept the one that they wanted and stuff like that. So you could do some pretty silly stuff based on the fact that Nequos can sometimes... It's a fun flavor thing that they can sometimes help you out, but it's also... Yeah, some would really like it. God damn it! I didn't want a book troll. Alright, well, Acquire Scroll, that's pretty good. Well, it's not going to help me too much, honestly. Some of these scrolls will be useful, but this is really not quite the trove I wanted, unfortunately, which always is the case. Yeah. Yep. Get that Trishula. Well, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, of course, Iggy, but I think DCSS is trying to go for a... It veers very strongly towards anti-scumming type stuff. Like, there are games like NetHack that really embrace that sort of thing, and DCSS is sort of against it. And I sort of prefer that kind of philosophy overall. Alright, so I guess I'm going to acquire probably jewelry on this guy. Unfortunately, I do have a ton of less useful rings not identified, which is why acquire jewelry is very disappointing on average. I mean, if I got an EV ring, even an RC ring would be nice, and it would simplify a couple of things for me. Actually, I say that. Another RF ring would be nice. That's what I have right now. Yeah. Stupid Ring of Fire. Something with RF++ would be nice. I just want to have good RF for... I mean, yes it is, it's just, you know, artifact rings being what they are. I'm still going to acquire it because, I mean, my hat is not a good hat, but that's just what we're going to do for this guy. It's probably going to be disappointing, but here goes nothing. Blink, Strength, Int, and then a little bit less Dex. I mean, not useless, just not all that useful. The Strength is actually kind of nice because that's more melee damage, which is helpful. Just could have been better. Invocable Blink is always nice, but it's, you know, it's only nice because I can, I do have an Int +2 ring right now. I'll probably just put this over that. Evoke Blink, yeah, only 1 MP. Obviously it does have a fail rate, but it does work even if you're silenced, which is not very useful, but what do you do? What do you do? It's not, yeah, it's not, I wouldn't equate it with the kind of scumming where there's a strict positive, but the way I described it was an extremely offhand, Like, I wasn't thinking very carefully about how you could optimize it, and there are probably ways that you can game it, even worse than what I described. I mean, you have to ask yourself, what's the point of Malmutate giving positive mutations? Is it to encourage people to scum Necros to try to get them? If that's the point, I don't think that's a very good reason, to be honest. I think the game could try to explore some other avenues for getting sources of mutation that don't involve, like, here, try to park this enemy and do this weird thing, and then come up with a series of weird strategies so that you can get what you want. I think it's very against the spirit of this particular game. I'm not saying it's bad in every video game, but I think if this game wants to provide more, like, infinite mutation, there's probably more interesting ways that it can provide it. Maybe just, you know, infinite abyss or going through zigs, stuff like that. I mean, that you could argue about that, but there's some new spell can come along that can change that and stuff. Well, that's something you're asserting, but I don't think you've offered an argument for why that actually is the case, is my point. I mean, it's not the most important issue in this game, obviously. It's a pretty minor issue, but I think it would probably be better if it didn't do that. And I'd be open to hearing better arguments, but I don't particularly see why. Well, that's sort of an argument against monsters doing bad things to you in general, really. I mean, what do monsters do but sit there and do bad things to you? And they just do it in different ways. As far as it being interesting, the interesting part is the way in which it is bad is very distinct, or relatively distinct at least, from other bad things that can happen to you. Mutations just do things like teleportitis, berserkitis, and other things that really change the way that you have to play. And I think that's the interesting part about Malmutate. If you want to argue that the way Malmutate is delivered is not interesting, there could be a point there, but I think making it sometimes good is probably not the way to address it. People have talked about it might be nice if all mutations in this game were just temporary, like how Wretched Stars do it. That's probably not the best way for Malmutate to work, because that means it doesn't really have long-term consequences, and that's probably just less interesting. But there are other ways you could go about having how Malmutate works. You could have some sort of interesting smite targeted thing that can't be avoided. You can do a few different things. I mean, that can happen from all sorts of different sources, right? I could quaff a mutation potion. I could get a mutation potion that drops on the ground, and I go, okay, I'm gonna roll the dice, and there we go. I don't think it has to be done through Malmutate, is what I'm saying. Because it's just gonna invite scumming. That's just my opinion on it, but... Yeah, I mean, mutations in this game have always been one of the more controversial aspects. There's a whole set of players who just hate the idea of permanently modifying the player character, and that they want to, like, just remove it. They want to make them all temporary. So there's definitely a range of player opinions. I'm not discarding, you know, the feel that people have about it, but more stating what I think is... Alright, I guess I should go pick up my mist stuff that I dropped on the ground. No, not that. Oh wait, yes, that. We're on Depths 1. I do not, Comrade Gary. I stream when I have time. Sometimes I've done it like once every few days. Often it's once a week, twice a week. I can't really give you a schedule, unfortunately. Not that pro of a streamer. Obviously, need to quit my job and become a full-time Twitch streamer. Yeah, I was saying that scumming off enemies is bad, and that mutation potions are one example of a better way to deliver that aspect of something happens that changes up your game. The fact that you know, the fact that mutation potions do it their particular way does make it distinct from other approaches you could do, but I don't think that the scumming sort of approach that putting it on monsters encourages is as good. No regen, the speed costs a lot of turns. Oh, there's tidbits. The speed runs. Is this a speed run, tidbits? Are we going fast? Do we gotta go fast? It's just a tidbit.